There is a moment, if you're lucky, when you realize that the life you have been living was never quite yours. It came to Eleanor Marsh at platform 4 of a very small train station on a very grey Tuesday morning, holding a map she had drawn herself of a place she had never been. Eleanor was a cartographer, not the kind who travelled. She worked from a small study above a bookshop in a town called Ashford, where the cobblestones were uneven and the winters came early, and everyone knew everyone well enough to notice when something changed. The study was the sort of room people describe as charming. There were maps pinned to every wall, some hers, some ancient, some of places that existed only in other people's stories. A brass lamp with a green shade sat on her desk beside 3 cold cups of tea, and through the window, if she leaned slightly to the left, she could just see the top of the old church spire. She had lived in this town for 31 years, expected to stay forever. With her mother's high street shop, her brother's family nearby, and her father's recent passing, the family had knit tightly together. Eleanor was the reliable one who stayed close, though she was beginning to feel like a room in someone else's house. She didn't think it consciously. Instead, she made maps. She plotted untouched coastlines, legendary mountain passes, and other people's wanderings with a devoted precision, desperately wanting to believe this was enough. For a long time, it almost was. The letter arrived on an ordinary Wednesday. It was from a cartographic institute in Edinburgh, a proper one, the kind with high ceilings and stone floors, and a smell of old paper that would make a person like Eleanor go very quiet upon entering. They had seen her work. They had an open position. It was a residency of 1 year, possibly 2, with the possibility of an expedition to the Scottish Highlands. And then, if she was willing, further, Portugal, perhaps, or Iceland. The letter left the door conspicuously open. She read it 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and put it in the drawer beneath her spare nibs and her bottle of India ink. And she did not think about it, or so she told herself, for 11 days. On the 12th day, she told her mother. Her mother's response was a masterclass in saying everything by saying nothing. There was a pause. Then,
"Well, that's quite far, isn't it? I suppose, if that's what you want."
Then quieter, with her back already turned to the kettle.
"I just don't know how we'd manage."
Eleanor went home and drew a map of nowhere. A coastline, a lighthouse, a village with roads leading only inward. She stared at it until she understood. She had drawn a map of staying. She put down her pen. Outside, the November dusk turned the town golden and beautiful, transforming ordinary sights into memories. It was sincerely beautiful. She finally landed on the thought she had avoided for years. Not with anger, but with the quiet honesty of someone done pretending. The town was beautiful. Her family needed her. She had 1 life. All 3 were true. She wrote back to Edinburgh saying yes, then told her brother. To her surprise, he was quiet before saying,
"You've wanted to go somewhere for years, Ellie. Anyone who's looked at your walls could see it."
She hadn't known anyone had noticed. One Saturday, Her mother came around more slowly. She set a sturdy leather travel satchel on Eleanor's kitchen table.
For your maps.
She said, looking away its own kind of forgiveness. It wasn't perfect. There were tense silences, heavy with gentle guilt. But Eleanor stood firm. She finally understood that choosing yourself is not the same as abandoning the people you love. It only feels that way at first. On the morning she left, she walked through Ashford one last time, past the bookshop, her mother's closed gift shop, and the crooked church spire. She looked at everything properly, with the clarity of someone who finally had permission to leave. For years, she had charted other people's journeys with permanent ink, never once adding herself to the map. Waiting at platform 4, she pulled a small square of paper from her pocket, a map she had made the night before. It was of no real place, but of the year ahead, an imagined coastline, an unfamiliar city, and a mark in the Highlands where she hoped to stand one day, finally arriving inside her own life. She looked at it for a long moment. Then she folded it back into her pocket, picked up her suitcase, and stepped forward. We spend so much of our lives being cartographers of other people's expectations, drawing the borders they have set for us, marking out the roads they believe we should take. And all the while, somewhere beneath all that careful, obedient map-making, there is a coastline that belongs only to us. You don't have to burn anything down to reach it. You only have to be honest enough to draw it.